What is up? What is up? What is up, family? We are back with another Steady Stepping podcast. I told y'all I was applying straight pressure. I'm going to get nothing but steady steppers and people that's really out here living in their purpose and changing their life one day at a time. You get what I'm saying? Because that's what it's really all about. So today we got a really special guest. I actually met this gentleman yesterday. His name is Mr. Sidney. Mr. Sidney, you want to tell the people hello?
Hey people, how you doing today?
Hey, and we definitely got a definite treat in store for you guys. So actually, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have Mr. Sidney on both the cameras, on the live and on the phone. So today's topic, we're gonna switch it up, and we're gonna be talking about substance abuse and addiction. So, Mr. Sidney, if you don't mind, you can kind of give the people a brief. We're gonna say 30 seconds to a minute. Oh, I'm not even recording. I'm embarrassing. We're gonna start it over. Hey, I'm just. Hey, what's up? Welcome, everybody.
I wanted to do this.
Huh?
I could, cause I felt like my lips were wet. I wanted to put my mouth.
Hey, it's all good. I wasn't even recording the audio, so hey, it's all good. Trial and error. So, welcome back, everybody, to another Steady Stepping podcast. We doing this episode different today, cause we doing it from the FaceTime. You get what I'm saying? But hey, we're not making any excuses. We're just we only got solutions. So today we are we have another interview, and today's interview / episode is about substance abuse and addiction. So today's special guest is Mr. Sidney, and you guys, his story is just so amazing. You know what I'm saying? I from the few minutes that I spoke with him, just his energy and the things that he opened up to me. A lot of people, especially black men, we don't open up to each other like this. You get what I'm saying? And with the podcast and everything that I'm doing, I want to change so many narratives and bad things that have been tried to be put against us and put on us. You get what I'm saying? And it starts with one. We do it one at a time, because each one teach one, which will allow us to reach one. You get what I'm saying? So, Mr. Sidney, if you don't mind, you could give them a little overview of who you are.
Hey everybody. Well, my name is Sidney, and I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I left Chicago at 18, going to the military. I had my plan in place. I went to the military strictly for the GI Bill, so that I could go back and go to school and try to walk on to some college team's some college basketball team. And but the universe had something else in mind for me. I was prematurely discharged from the military. That gave me a left a bitter taste in my mouth that I never addressed or dealt with. And I was fortunate enough that someone in Virginia cared enough about me, and we later became married, and we parented 4 children together. We lost one child in early birth, or in early childhood and infancy. Something else that I didn't have the opportunity to deal with emotionally. I went to prison 10 years later. I spent 18 years incarcerated in Virginia Department of Corrections. And that 18 years, I started 2000, and I came out in 2018. Came to Georgia for a new start. Got to Georgia, hit the ground, feet running. Within a year, I started my own business, Sidney's Handyman Services. I was engaged, and none of those things, well, the business is fine. But the engagement, it fell through, and I nearly lost my foot in 2019, a work accident. And from there, I just spiraled downward, and I started using drugs. And that was the easy thing to do, you know. When you're from a city, you can see certain things, you know certain things. And I decided after about a year of using, lying to myself, lying to my family, being distant from my family, I decided that was enough. And I picked myself up right where I was, some heavy, intense praying, and God landed me at this beautiful place called Serenity House, and this is where I am.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Mr. Sidney, what substance were you addicted to?
I was using crack cocaine.
Wow. What were some things that substance kind of made you do, that put you in Well, first of all, was that the substance that landed you in prison?
No. What landed me in prison was drugs played a role in it, but it was my constant failures. I was, like I said, I'd been prematurely discharged from the Navy. Now here I am, 10 years later. I got a wife, four children, one in a different state, and they were taking me away from my family for minor charges, for traffic charges. It seemed like after the third year in Virginia, it seemed like every third year or every year I was in the city jail for traffic charges.
Oh,
and
wow.
I may have had a legitimate protest, but I was going about it the wrong way. My protest was they'll get me when they get me. I'm not going to court. Because when I went to court, they locked me up. So that was my mindset. And I may have had a legitimate protest, but I was going about it the wrong way. You got to play their game. We're in their world. We got to play their game. We got to play by their rules. And I now at a later age, I respect the rules because I don't want a world of chaos. So the rules are in place for a reason, and we have to abide by the rules.
Yes, sir.
Even when we feel we have a protest, there's a means, there's an avenue to protest. But you can't just you can't protest by your own understanding. And something that I've learned through my journeys is to be open and talk about things. And when I started doing that, I realized that I'm more alike than unalike. We people throughout the world are going through the same thing, whatever it is. Someone else is going through that very thing. Have a different twist on it here and there, but people throughout the world suffering from the same mishaps, the same disappointments with themselves, the same thing. Loss of family members, whatever it is that causes your discomfort, you're not by yourself.
That's beautiful because I can definitely relate to you on a personal level with that one, Mr. Sidney. And that was one of the things I was at a younger point to where I didn't know that's what it was, but when I saw it and I spoke about it, it was like, dang, did I really just say it out my mouth? But and like you said, I had just said it at the wrong time around the wrong person. But and what's crazy, my father and I just spoke about that this morning. You get what I'm saying? And how it really bothered him. So it's like it's a lot of families out here that thing right there, that ugly substance has just made indifferent. But for the simple fact of that you saw that was an issue, and now that you want to change the scenario is the beautiful part of it. I didn't mean to cut you off, but
right. Well, you didn't cut me off. I was trying to let you know that you were breaking up, so I missed maybe a tidbit of what was said. But I think I got enough where I can carry on the conversation. For myself, when I was using the drug, I was so disappointed with myself. I would go deep into the recesses of my thoughts, and they weren't all dark. I knew within myself that this was not who I was. But I can't say that a situation is beneath me if I'm right there in that situation.
Yes, sir.
So it had to come a point where my will and my actions got into alignment, because my actions those weren't running parallel. In my mind, I could tell myself no. But my actions, subconsciously or consciously, I was going to score. I was going to get something, even with the battle within taking place at that very moment that I'm actually scoring. I'm standing there knowing that I'm giving my money to some clown, and or somebody else to go live a decent life. I'm providing a decent life for somebody else. And I've heard the definition of insanity defined as continually doing the same thing, expecting different results. And we talk about location. That factors in people, places, and things. All this factors in. And in my prayers, I prayed for a quiet, safe place I could transition into society. Because in years of being gone, I came to conclude that it did have an effect on me. I hit the ground running, and things were well. But as long as things were well, I was well. But when things started to get a little murky, that's when the other side, my lower self, took control. And it convinced me that I fell into that woe is me. And the more I said that, the more I felt that way, the more things came to be that contributed to me feeling that way. So I eventually just got up and said, no more of this war is me. And it's funny how God works. I was in a situation I was living in a rooming house out in Arlington, or the street was Arlington, but in Oakland City. I'm not from Georgia. I don't know good neighborhood, one neighborhood from the next. And that community is heavily drug populated, a lot of poverty, and it's saddening. It's saddening to see our people like that in such a beautiful state as Georgia. Homelessness is a big thing. I found myself using. I found it to be common practice to use, and fighting against myself. I'm sorry, I kind of lost track of where I was going. It'll come back.
Yes, sir. Well, we were just talking about. Well, what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it because on here we kind of talk about community and how you can sometimes become the people you hang around. And it was what you were saying, where how you had to pray for some seclusion to get your peace of mind back, because when you're trying to elevate and change, but you already have kind of like a system or routine in your mind, and you like, man, I know it's better out here. I know that I want to be great. I know I'm going to be great, but you still in that situation or that environment, it can be a little hard to really detach from that if every day you walk out the door and that's what you see. You get what I'm saying? And
absolutely.
You definitely just you reiterated that so much where you were saying that when you were good, but you were still in that community and that environment. But once you pulled yourself out of it, the transformation and the elevation that came from it was beautiful. Because how long have you been away from that community, Mr. Sidney?
I've only been away from that community for roughly 40 days. And within that 40 days, I've signed up and started college. I am now a student at Southern New Hampshire University. I'm going for my bachelor's in psychology with a concentration on addictions, because it is my desire to help others in that situation. And
yes, sir.
Because, and fortunately for me, I pray for doers. Because everybody has a story or something they want to do. But there's a process. After you formulate in your mind that this is what I want to do, you have to start putting action to your thoughts. You have to start doing something to conducive to achieving those ends. And just talking about it, that's it. That's not it. You got to act on it. And I was surrounded by a bunch of talkers and not doers. And in my subconscious, I prayed for some doers to come into my life. And the great God of the universe sent me a young lady named Lenora, and she and I became an item. We talked on the phone for 2 months before we ever physically saw each other. And she's a doer. She's a doer. And how fortunately I met her house, and that's where we met at. Another doer. Someone that's moving, shaking and moving, as they say. They say barbecue a meal do.
We call us steady steppers. We the steady steppers.
Steady steppers.
Hey, you are a true steady stepper. And that's what I've been telling everybody on the platform. When I'm going for interviews, I'm not really going to interview people that are monetarily successful, but people that are mentally successful. Because Mr. Sidney, what you have done, you've made a total 180 transformation into being mentally successful. You get what I'm saying? You've established a problem, and that was your addiction. Next, you came up with a plan and steps to change that addiction around and change it into an addiction to want to help people now that have been in that circumstance or situation. And now what you're doing, you're acting and you're stepping up to greatness. You're stepping up to your true calling, what I feel like. Because a lot of people don't have the balls to do what you did. First of all, to say it out loud. And now you're saying it on a platform to where a lot of people can try to judge you, but they have an addiction too. They just don't have the balls to say it like you and I would do. You get what I'm saying? And for you to be a black man to say that, oh man, you're gonna give a lot of other men courage to come out And to begin, even no matter what the addiction, because my mom, she was telling me that you can be addicted to a lot of different things, caffeine, marijuana, all these different substances. Like addiction is not just to a substance; it's more of a mindset, because that addiction is burnt into your routine.
Definitely. There are things that become ingrained in us from our visuals. I try to tell people you have to protect what you take in through the sentinels of your eyes and your ears. You have to be mindful, because everything that you take in, it implants on your subconscious. It may not present itself that day or within the next hour or within the next couple of days, but it's in there. And there will be something that will trigger that memory, and you've already passed judgment on the situation. I'll take Jerry Springer, for instance. I do not watch it. I did when I was younger. It was entertaining. But due to Jerry Springer, that's why they call the t-shirts we wear white beaters. I never knew that. Kids told me that everybody on Jerry Springer that's there for beating their wife had those shirts on. And that's how they termed the phrase white beaters.
I never knew that.
I never knew that. But you see a certain, and there's no shortage of us up there willing to air our dirty laundry out at a cost. And so I started seeing sisters with red hair and green hair, and started to think, and instantly I got a judgment towards them. I see them in a certain light. I see them as with the hands and all that old extra stuff.
Right.
We get up there and when we perform it. And it's so far from the truth. For me, coming from where I'm coming from prison, from drug addiction, from Chicago gangbanger, to where I'm headed, I can't be judgmental. If I expect people not to judge me, I can't myself be a judge. There is a judgment that is healthy, though. The Bible speaks of judge not. But it goes on to say, judge not, lest thee be judged by that same measure. And if your measure is fair, then judge me. I can do one or two things. I can take that judgment and make necessary adjustments, or I can rant and rave like a little child and say, you don't know what you're talking about. It depends on where I am emotionally. A lot of things factor into how you receive judgment. It's not just a cut and dry thing. The right word at the wrong time is then good. But it's a process. And prayerfully, we as individuals will first go through that process and we'll first realize that there's a process, because we've been taught that we want it now. We're in a microwave age. We want everything now and fast. And,
yes, sir.
Certain things, if all you want is money, I don't pray for money no more. I don't pray for money. That's a different story in itself. But there are far too many. So I would never glorify it. It's a horrible instinct. But I took that time and utilized that time to cultivate self, to better myself, to enhance myself. Because I have a spirit of help. I want to help.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not one to give a child a snake when he asks for an egg. Some people may know where I come from with that. But I wouldn't give you something to harm you, period. And if you're attracted to me, I'm going to send you in a direction. I'm not going to let the younger one drive the relationship. I'm going to set the direction for the relationship. And it started off, I would have them go, you want to talk to me? You want to kick it up with me? I'm from Chicago. That's the gang mecca. Yeah. Chicago and Cali, they want to know.
Right.
But that's not something I'm willing to share. So go get the Daily Bread, read the Daily Bread, and then come back and we'll have a discussion about the Daily Bread. And that's where that's where God put me. That's where I was. That's my character. That's my disposition. And there's a terminology that I come across as the manifold, so does this God. And what that means to me is that as we grow in understanding and wisdom, so does our views and perspectives of our God, of the whole God entity change. And you should be growing. Anybody that tells me they're a grown man, I leave them to themselves, because they're grown. Implicit that there's no more room for growth. If I'm grown, I've completed. And I'm 52 years old, and I'm a growing man at 52.
I like that. Mr. Sidney. I definitely like that. And again, it just, to me, the courage that it's taking you to say these things on video, that's just so humbling to me, because it's like, I'm far from perfect. You get what I'm saying? And I'm just so blessed that we connected on that level. So
In
that
an
you
instant.
can, yes, sir.
I said we connected in an instant.
Yes, sir. And hey, and it really was just the instant because the Holy Spirit really just sent me over there because I looked at the roof and then someone was just like, just keep talking to him. Cause honestly, Mr. City was like, nah, man, I'm a handyman. I don't need your help. I was like, oh man, but someone just like, go back.
Yeah. Before I say I got it.
Yes, sir. Hey, and I was like, and my fleshy was like, okay, leave it alone. But then my spirit was like, no, you can still tap in with that man. Go back.
You know you did. You did go to step off and stop and came back.
Yes, sir.
You did do that. And I took my gloves off and we chatted.
Yes, sir. And I definitely appreciate
look at where
that.
it led us to. Look at where we are a day later. Not even a day later.
And this
not
is
even a 4 day later.
And this is really what it's all about. Like being better today than we were yesterday. Because once this video goes up, if we change one person's life, Mr. Sidney, we did our job today. And guess what? We got to do it again tomorrow.
Hey, and tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Beyond. My message to anybody that's dealing with the drug addiction, man, just know that you're not by yourself, bro. And no, bro or sister, man.
Yes,
that's
sir.
a sad thing. Brothers and sisters, man. Intelligent beings. Everybody's got a backstory, man. But people, I used to think that people were passing judgment on me. It was my humiliation. It was my embarrassment, my shame that made me feel that way. Not necessarily how anybody viewed me or felt about me, because they had no reason to feel any way about me, other than the fact that they could see that I was high. And they may not have been able to see that. That was my shame that I wore. I exiled myself from my family, and my family is a great family. They love me. But the drugs and the shame thereof, I couldn't be around them. I couldn't bear that shame. And something happened that I wore my shame. My birthday is August 29th. My mother's birthday is September the 3rd. My daughter calls me. She lives in Noonan. She tells me that I'm coming to her house. And I say, she was direct with it. I said, why? She says, because we're going to do a Zoom meeting. She said, don't you want to be at your mama's birthday party? I said, yeah. She said, we're going to do a Zoom meeting. So I didn't catch it. She had told me. I just didn't catch it in hindsight. But she said, we're going to do a Zoom meeting. And we're going to have a birthday party for your mama, Zoom meeting. Long story short, I get to my daughter's house, and my mother is there. My mother lives in Chicago. My mama and my sister was there. And you can hear the connection. My mama and my sister was there,
You love
and I
mama.
walked in. Yes, sir. I walked in, and my shame was on me. My skinny face, my slender, my slender, cause in the drug, I wasn't taking care of myself, and I could see my mother. She didn't judge, but I could see my sister. I could see the way my baby sister looked at me, and that I don't want her to look at me like that ever. I don't want anybody to look at me like that.
Much respect.
But getting a little emotional.
It's all right.
Yeah, I know who I am. I knew who I was in the drug, and I allowed the drug to take it from me. And that's what it does. It's a demon. It's a demon that takes you from yourself. I'm a lion. I'm an alpha male. But here I am. I'm in my own house letting people dictate to me where I'm going to sit.
Like, what? That's that addiction, though.
Yeah. It's a funny thing, man, that a drug could do that. And it kept calling and calling and calling. I had to get away. It wasn't going to leave me. I had to leave it. And I'd say that in your subconscious, you're there. The person exists. And my message continues to be, pick up where you are. There's nothing that you have to do more important than getting up right where you are and going to seek out help. And it's there. I told a friend of mine at the time, I said, I don't need to be in a 24-hour program. I just need someone to help me transition into society. Something that I didn't do. I came from prison to my uncle's house, and there are people that specialize in helping people transition. And I neglected that. I denied myself that going to my family's house. And I didn't transition, bro. And I said that I need a place where I can work and, you know, be productive and work towards the ends and just learn to be productive in society out here. She said, "Oh, you want something tailor-made? They don't have that. You want something tailor-made." God picked me up and set me at this place, and it is exactly what I asked for.
Okay.
It is.
Talk to him, Mr. Sidney.
I go in there. It's quiet. I have 3 roommates, and mine is, you know, a little necessity for a little tweaking here and tweaking there, and our living, you know, standards is perfect.
I like it.
It is perfect.
I definitely like it. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna take a little break. We're definitely gonna get some bills paid real quick. This episode was brought to you and sponsored by Rodriguez General Contracting. Hey, no job too big or small. Just call RGC LLC. We can be reached at 470-838-0966. Again, our number is 470-838-0966. And we guarantee 110% quality work and quality customer service. So, while we're on the subject of resources, I'm going to give you guys a few resources that my mother gave me because she teaches for the state. So right here we have a substance abuse website in Georgia. It is Recovery is Freedom, Strength, Change, Opportunity, Acceptance, Real Life, hope, and just a whole bunch of positive words, you guys, for the substance abuse platform. So I want you guys to look at these. I think Mr. Sidney may be tapping out with us, but that's really what the podcasting platform is about, putting people's story out here. And it's not to embarrass anybody. Don't ever get it twisted. But it's to let you guys know that you're never alone out here wherever you are. You get what I'm saying? Because a lot of times people feel like that they're alone. That's how suicide end up being completed, because people don't commit suicide. My mom told me they complete it when they actually do. And it's so sad and depressing. You get what I'm saying? Because it's like, they should never have felt like that. They should never have felt like they were alone. You get what I'm saying? But that's why I'm really creating this podcast, because I need people to know you're not alone. Wherever you are, you're not alone. I promise. God loves you. I love you. You are awesome. You are worthy. You are amazing. And Mr. Sidney's calling back on this phone. So we're gonna decline him, and we're gonna get him back on this line. Oh, and before this is another hotline that we're gonna use right here. I need you guys to get with them as well, and we're bringing nothing but resources and great stories. Here he goes on the other line, and also these, before he picks back up and comes back in. Yeah, you had hung up on the phone, so I had to get you back on here. Yes, sir.
Oh, wow, sorry about that.
Oh, it's all good. I'm just giving them some resources that my mom gave me. So this pamphlet comes from.
You hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Are we still recording?
Yes, sir. We still recording. I'm just taking a break and giving them some resources that they could go for substance abuse and treatment.
And there's this place called Newport House. It's on Glenwood in Atlanta.
Okay.
The street Glenwood. I guess it's somewhere in proximity to the street Austin. I did know it's a funny name for this other street that is on, but it's in that just Newport House. Look it up, man. Those people are amazing. They care. I can say that about those people at Newport House. And they do aftercare. And that's how I ended up here. I spoke to the counselor and I told him my truth and what I thought I needed, and he recommended this place, and it was exactly what I needed.
Wow, I'm so very glad to hear that, because a lot of people don't realize closed mouths don't get fed ever. And I had to learn that, because this is not about me. Let's stop talking about me. This is about you, Mr. Sidney, and your transformation. Like, it's just so overwhelmingly exciting to know that the hurdles that were thrown in front of you due to this ignorant substance that was put in our community, that you still were able to shake that off. You shook that demon, Mr. Sidney, and I want to give you your flowers while you here. You shook that demon, and you're not letting it come back. And that's the energy that is going to help somebody else transform. That's the energy.
Bro.
Oh my goodness, that energy that you have is it's amazing.
It is definitely possible, man. I failed a couple of times. I was at Potter's house last year, but for reasons other than my own personal reasons, or other than just me, other than selfish reasons, I came home earlier. A friend, my lady friend at the time, she was going through some illnesses, and I left the Potter's house early, and that's that regret that I talk about. It's hard to live with that regret, man. So many of us live with regret. So many of us live with unprocessed hurt, and we allow that hurt to express itself in anger. That's why we got so many of us walking around here angry with attitudes, because we don't know the difference between hurt and anger. So we allow hurt to express itself in anger. And a lot of times, in situations that hurt us, if we discuss it or talk about it or own it or admit it, it minimizes the hurt. You see that it's not so hurt. And then, I lost a son to gun violence.
Wow.
And the time coming up to me losing him, I was on my way home from prison, gone 18 years, and I lost my son roughly 100 days before I came home. And roughly. And my kid was like a little boy. He was like a little boy. He's 30 years old, like a little boy. I call him. He tell whoever's around, "Hey, shut up! My dad is on the phone."
Put some respect on it. Be quiet.
Yeah, my daddy's coming home, man. My daddy coming home. But he still had that Chicago mentality. I attribute a lot of that to his mother not really maturing and being selfish. Because I say that because I talked to her and she, my son out here, they can't mess with my son. He from Chicago. He country folk. Them country folk took my boy from me, man. Man, and yeah, man.
I'm so sorry to hear that, Mr. C.
It's that ideology that where we're from. Through my travels, I've learned that we're the same. We're more alike than unlike. Poverty doesn't discriminate. It doesn't discriminate to location. And now with the mass media, we're getting poverty dispositions in the suburbs. I used to long to live in a burb or a ville instead of the inner city. I thought the burbs and the villas was where I made it.
Right.
A show of success.
Yeah.
But now with the mass media and people manipulating the mass media and not doing what we're doing, the negative get out there. And we mimic what we see.
That's why they call it television. Okay.
Exactly. You better say it. And I feel that our young rappers, a lot of them, they give back. But what the give back is minimal compared to what they given initially. They don't disclose that, hey, I done spent years cultivating my craft in the studio. I done spent years writing. I done spent years. I done wrote to get to this space. Now they there and all they're glorifying the shit that they didn't do to get to where they are.
That's another one. So, hey, we got about 3 podcasts out of this one with ideas.
Right. Accountability.
A credibility. That's
credibility, accountability.
That's gonna be the gem of the day. That's the gem of the day. So out of those 3 words, Mr. City, what's the most important one to you that the people need to know today?
Accountability, man.
Accountability. Okay, accountability.
First for yourself, and then if you're walking if your walk says that you're accountable for yourself, you can next call someone else to be accountable. But I can't ask you to be what I'm not.
I like that. I definitely like that one. So, with accountability, what was at what point where you were just like what point were you just tired? And then once you realized you were tired, can you give us an overview of the plan and steps that you used to stop being tired and to start acting a transition out of that addiction?
Well, I said that I would stop throwing God's blessings back at him. Implicit that God was blessing me with things and I wasn't properly using them. I was throwing them back at him. I don't want this. I wasn't changing my situation, and God knows that opportunity was there. So I followed God's plan. I took my plan out of the equation because my plan had failed. When I initially disclosed to my family that I was dealing with drug issues, there's a family member by the name of Jimmy. Jimmy dealt with drug addictions. Jimmy tells me what I needed to do. I told him what I was going to do. Bruh, I'm going to get my CDLs. I'm going to go across the street. I'm going to drive trucks. And I was acquainted with someone that was supposed to help me every step of the way. And I have my CDL permit in there. It's expired now. But it's expired. And then we picked the ball up again. And I was supposed to go on a ride with this guy. Accountability. You have to be accountable for yourself. We have to.
Is Mr. Sidney, like, what's crazy, just not even a whole week ago, I was picking up a load and a young man pulled some of that out of his wallet. And I said, brother, stop.
Oh, man.
Stop that, brother. Stop. And like you said, and like talking to you, it makes sense because he told me a story. He said, man, I've been working here for this long and these people don't stole my overtime over 6 times. But he was still working there because he didn't know what else to do. That was how he was getting what he needed.
Watch what I tell you. Persistence always wins out. He's gonna get his overtime back. If it's legitimate, they're gonna have to reimburse him. They're gonna have to pay retribution for that. And God gives the increase. We look for the increase from man. God gives the increase. Right now I'm working for $10 an hour. I remember a time when my company was thriving. My daughter, her guy, he's doing good in his business, Untamed Floors. They do floor and he's amazing, man.
Oh, shout them out real quick. Let them know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Untamed Floors. Holla at Justin, Untamed Floors. I don't have the number or anything, but Untamed Floors. He's a young man, and he's doing it. He's doing it. He offered me to come work with him, and he offered me $80 a day. And I told him I didn't get out the bed for $80 a day.
Respect.
That's what I told him. That's what I told him. And that was pride and arrogance. That's what that was. That was pride and arrogance. And it bit me in my hind part. It bit me hard. It bit me so hard that I'm now working for $80 a day.
Wow.
$10 an hour, 8 hours a week, $8 a day.
$80 a day.
$80 a day.
Wow.
Be careful what you say. Your words have power.
I appreciate that one, Mr. Sidney. I really do. And you know what? We can't give all of it away today, Mr. Sidney. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna close this episode out, but I'm gonna keep you on the FaceTime because I definitely want to talk to you for a second.
All right.
So what we like to close out the show, we're gonna tell them, hey, respect yourself, because I'll respect you. And that one come from you, Papa, and I want you to know that. In order to gain respect, first of all, you have to respect yourself and others will respect you. You get what I'm saying? Because when you walk around and you don't respect yourself, a lot of people see that. They peep the game. You get what I'm saying? So once you start respecting yourself, everybody else will only respect you. And they'll know not to bring that foolishness around you. Isn't that right, Mr. Sidney?
Absolutely. Trust me, they know not to bring that foolishness around. I want to add this in closing.
Okay.
Love yourself. You highly melanated. You lightly melanated. Love yourself. You human being. There's one race, the human race. But those of us that are melanated, we know that we have a different fight to fight.
Hey, and with that being said,
that's my piece.
Hey, I appreciate your piece, Mr. Sidney. Mr. Sidney, I want to give you the biggest set of flowers for just having the courage to even shake my hand yesterday, because you didn't have to tell me that. You didn't have to call me today. You didn't have to give these people your story. But you're doing God's purpose in what he gave you to do. And for that, I am so forever grateful, because that's what I've been asking for. People that's living in their purpose so they can just motivate me to continue to live in mine. And God is so great. So we're not going to hold you guys. This has been another beautiful Steady Stepping podcast. And we're definitely going to be back again with Mr. Sidney. And Mr. Sidney, one more thing. Tell these people where you see yourself in another year, because I know it's only up. Because we're going to look at this in a year.
In another year, I see myself wherever God will have me.
That's what I like to hear.
I see myself walking in the path that God is creating for me. Hopefully, things will go well in my relationship. Hopefully, things will continue to go well here. One thing I know that I will always do is keep God in the front. However you see your God, I will keep God in the front and try to follow his path and stop trying to do it on my own.
I appreciate that, Mr. Sidney. And so you guys already know what to do. Go follow us on YouTube. Go follow us on Spotify, on iTunes Podcast, on Audible Radio, and everywhere else. And don't forget to tell everybody and their mama about this greatness that we giving out on the podcast. Because it's free. YouTube don't cost you nothing to subscribe. Spotify doesn't cost you anything to subscribe. But it's going to cost you a lot if you don't listen and tell somebody that they are amazing. That whatever they're going through, they can get through it. Whatever is on their heart, it is okay. Be somebody that somebody can go to just to hear that you are amazing, you are beautiful, and you can do it. So I want y'all to know we love y'all. Mr. Sidney took out time out of his amazing, wonderful day doing his homework to be an upcoming college grad to give y'all his story. So, hey, y'all tell Mr. Sidney appreciate it, man, because we appreciate you, Mr. Sidney, for coming on the podcast, and we're going to tell them we love y'all, and Mr. Sidney coming back. So, y'all be ready. All right, peace out, y'all.